Welcome to Friendly Geordie's podcast presents Shawarma FM.
Yo.
Emphasis on the presents Shawarma FM pod.
Yes.
How are you doing, Miss Love?
Swell.
It's been a boring news week, man.
Absolutely.
Not much. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, like I said.
Is there something that is big that we could even talk about?
You know, the last thing I said was like crunchy or smooth peanut butter. What's better? That's the last thing I saw.
Crunchy or smooth peanut butter?
Yeah,
in my view,
yeah,
crunchy.
I can go either way. I just don't care.
Wait, before we start, you had an announcement.
No, it's not. It's pathetic. It's not an announcement. I am finally rounding up this album, right? And I need help because I don't like normal video clips. They're boring. And I had this idea. I saw this really cool video clip, and it's like basically, from my understanding, made with like stock computer animation that is free. So it's not like a lot of work. It's just about like, you basically like set up some basic like dancing babies, and it's like a video clip. It's like it'd be very easy to do for anyone with the know-how. I don't know how to do it. So I want to ask, our audience to please hit me up on Insta. It's just my name, Miss Love 6, because if there's anyone in the world that would want to help me out with doing one of these, it'd be great, because I don't know if you agree with this, but I think normal video clips are boring and done. You know, like I'm playing the guitar and blah 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 and singing. Like,
so you want someone to help you out with the video?
I want someone to help me out with the video.
What about the champ that helped us with the Shawarma FM graphics?
I should ask him. I didn't even think of that.
You should definitely ask him. He's a king.
I'll ask. I didn't even think of that.
And also, we were supposed to meet him? Can you organize that meeting?
Yeah,
again?
he wants to meet.
Because that guy was an absolute king.
I'm still gonna put it out there.
You should definitely ask him.
I'm gonna ask him
as well.
But I'm still gonna. Now that I've done this, the video clip I want to rip off.
Yeah.
Anyone at home, so they know what I'm talking about. This is a good song too. The band's called Exek. So EXEK is the band name.
Wait, so you're talking about literally plagiarism?
Yeah, I'm just ripping them off. Yeah. But I don't want to do it the same. But their idea, art's cyclical.
Same, yeah.
And the song is called
cyclical.
Unetiquetted. Is that what that how would you say that? Read that.
Unetiqueted.
Okay.
I think it's etiquette.
It's
etiquetted. Unetiqueted.
I'm spelling it. The song, this is really pathetic, but whatever. UNETIQUETTED. They're an Australian band. I just want to rip them off. So hit me up if you're willing. It wouldn't be a lot of work. I think it's just like it's like an engine, and it's like just put in your pre-made animations, and it's just like it would probably take 2 seconds. I'm going to ask our mate. I didn't think of it, but if anyone else might be keen to do that, it'll be like official song video, because I think it's been done enough of bands going la 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 miming, and so that's my shout out. Hit me up on Insta if you might
Miss Love 6.
Yeah, if you might be interested in helping out with that, and I will also ask our basically producer. He would do it for sure.
Yeah, he would do it for sure.
Okay, I didn't even think that, but you know, maybe he did just have a baby, so he might just be like, bro, I'm busy, you know? So anyway, that's that done. Boring, I know, but like, this is why we have this lovely audience to mooch off of.
Well,
and
that was that. I hope you enjoyed the podcast.
Well, there's nothing else to talk about this week.
Nothing else to talk about.
I think we've covered everything. Oh, wait, the peanut butter thing.
No, let's do it. Let's talk about Operation Epstein Fury. I mean, Epic Fury. I'm sorry.
I mean, God, dude. Yeah. Look. Yes.
What are your initial thoughts?
Shock, fear, kind of confusion, and I have to say, your messages didn't help. You were sending some Islamic shit. You're like, this guy's sending me like, the virtuous ones shall rise to the top and battle the scum, and I'm like, okay, this isn't filling me with a lot of hope. My completely secular friend is quoting the Quran.
It wasn't the Quran, you dickhead. It was a poem. Just because it has the word God doesn't mean it's from the Quran.
This guy goes straight ISIS when I ask him what's happening with Dude, didn't fill me with hope.
Yeah.
It was poetic.
It's called information warfare, my friend.
Yeah. It was poetic, but,
I mean,
but part of me was like, yo, man, I think they got him, man.
You know, even after that, I was thinking, I think that was a bit much. You know? But in my defense, dude, I just fucking saw the headline, you know, World War III has just begun, and you're like, what's happening? And I'm like, I don't know, man, this is scary.
And you just hit me with some hard theology. You're like, well, my friend.
No, I didn't hit you with theology. I said, may God protect the ones that are on the righteous path, which is like a famous
I think that's the third Hezbollah doctrine.
Well, it could be anyone.
I'm kidding.
Maybe Trump's on the righteous path. It just means.
I feel like you weren't.
And also,
insinuating
may God protect. Anyway, it doesn't.
No,
matter.
I'm kidding. It was fine. It was just funny. It was just funny.
In hindsight, it was a bit much. But anyways,
No. I mean, it was. Look,
you
it
just
was
got me at the wrong time,
bro.
My tequila was slipping. My tequila was slipping, bro.
Oh my God, that's a kid.
It's hard to be in character all the time.
Just love the idea of like you get in your car after the pod and just take your clothes off as the full garb and you put your little hat on and just like and you just put the radio on. It's like no. Oh shit, that's so funny. No, I mean look, it was a trying time. I mean like it just happened and I messaged you straight away and you understandably you were probably just like, oh bruh, the missiles are flying. What the hell is going on? I was just shocked and freaked out and like.
Well, at the time, the missiles weren't flying from the Iranian side. At the time, it was just
probably
we had just been, and there were rumors that Khamenei may be dead.
I thought
so.
That
You came in real early.
Well, yeah,
and I just knew, like, I knew what was gonna follow.
Yeah, I mean, I was,
and
just,
so that's why, like, it made me really sad and depressed in the sense that this is gonna be bad for everyone, kind of thing.
For sure. No. I think what you actually were saying, apart from the poem, was quite insightful. You were just like, you know, this is hectic. This is not going to be good for anyone, which is true. That's definitely true. I think it's like, you know, I mean, look, once again, I started ingesting some media, and then as soon as someone's like, they're a terrorist organization and they were funding terrorism, I was like, maybe it wasn't that bad. But then I'm like, no. Let's be real. This wasn't about. I don't think this was Israel's. I think they want the region, and like America never wanted to do this. I think Trump was convinced by Netanyahu, but I think what's happening is like the big players have convinced Trump, and
this has been a back burner project for a long time now.
Yeah, but not for America.
No, from America.
Really?
This is this project of regime change in Iran has been floating in circles of American policymakers for the last 25 years now.
But this, I didn't think.
In fact, even more, I'd say.
I know, but I don't think
the fact that this got green lighted and activated.
That's the difference. A million things are talked about. I mean, you know, like they probably talk about bloody invading the moon. It doesn't mean they're going to do it. I think that the fact that it happened is pretty crazy, and I assume that Israel played quite a large part in it, because I've seen the mashup of Netanyahu's speeches at the UN about. He's been saying that they're building a bomb for 20 years or more. Mm-hmm. There's obviously a huge incentive on their end for this to happen, and now they're bombing Lebanon. I heard is it Hezbollah that are there? But you know they're bombing Lebanon. Ultimately, I know there might be a question of like they were funding terrorism, but it's like it's still. I think it was from my understanding. I don't know if it was directly or indirectly, but there's still a sovereign country that had their own elected leader. It's not. Yeah. Is it an illegal? I know he didn't talk to Congress at all. That's illegal.
Are you talking about Iran? Trump elected? Because Khamenei wasn't elected. I would want to. I want to like.
I didn't know that, but I'm talking.
Khamenei, it has like
but he's like their pope, right?
Yeah, but not elected. You know?
No, but I wasn't talking about.
I mean, elected, not elected by the people. Sorry, elected by the Supreme Judicial Council and stuff. Right. But not their president gets elected by the people.
But I was talking about Trump not revealing it to the Congress.
Yeah.
So is it illegal technically, this thing?
No.
Oh.
Unfortunately not. I'm not saying that this is a right thing. I definitely think like Congress should be consulted.
I remember the poem.
Yeah, I remember the poem. But I don't think Trump has to do this.
Oh, of course not. I mean, I think it's a.
I think particularly for
I think it's crazy. Look, my official take is I think it's crazy. It's like, okay, just on this metric of, he ran on no wars, he ran on populism, he ran on sort of non-interventionist policies, and Venezuela was crazy. But then it's like. It's. I know that there's no men on the ground or whatever, but this is Iraq all over again.
Look, I don't want to discount what you're saying. What you're saying is absolutely true.
That's what it feels like.
He ran on an overtly no war policy.
Yeah.
In fact, there's literal messages of him where he's saying like Obama's going to get us into a war with Iran. I don't know if you've seen those circulating. There's one where he's saying like Obama is incapable of negotiating peace and he's going to get us into a war with Iran and stuff. You know, so. Not only the fact that he campaigned on I'm a peace guy, but his entire history, at least up until the last, 15, 20 years, has been a very no Middle Eastern wars in particular. So absolutely correct. No arguments. However, I do want to say this. American public, not today, as far as I've read in history, have actually been anti-war. So an overwhelming majority of American presidential candidates actually run on a peace program.
Yeah.
But I would like to say, very few in history, in Cold War times, there have been instances where a president overtly gets elected after saying that they're going to ratchet up the temperature with Soviet Union. But generally speaking, there have all been peace candidates, and almost all of them have fought wars.
Yeah.
So
JFK was the closest to
JFK
nuclear annihilation.
Yeah, exactly right.
And he was the handsome guy from Boston, Irish.
And so, what does it tell you? Either that everyone is a hypocrite. You can have that conclusion, or you can also believe that there's something within the political machinery that forces you towards this, even if you're not into it.
Yeah, maybe.
So that could be one argument, and I suspect it's the latter, actually.
Yeah. I'll check for questions, but I mean, look, your knowledge is going to be way deeper than me. Do you just want to dive into your expose? That's my take. My take is like, look, I think war's always bad.
All right,
can I just ask this? Is it verified that they bombed a school of girls?
Yes, it is verified. Okay, so again, context is extremely important. So this particular elementary girls' school has been geolocated by Western media outlets. So I'm not getting this from, so CNN has confirmed this. But what this also needs to be noted is that this particular girls' school was about 60 meters away from a military base. Now, since up until 2016, this girls' school was actually part of the military base. But in 2016, a part of it was given off to a school, and it became a military. It became a school. So that context, I feel, is important as well.
Yes. Still, nevertheless, that's terrible.
Yeah, but I would want to also say that, and you're going to see this more often, which is that civilian targets are not going to be restricted to one side in this campaign. So you will see civilian targets being hit from Iran as well.
Well, Israel had some deaths, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. They did have some deaths.
30?
Now, no.
Or was it 9?
I think from the last I read, there's about 10 or 11
I
deaths that have been confirmed.
Misread that.
But we're not receiving the information because the reason why we know about this 9 deaths in Jerusalem is because the impact was so large and the devastation was hard that rescuer missions, and it was just unavoidable for the media to find out. But Israeli government and even U.S. government and to a large extent even Iranian government, they have this thing of not revealing how many people have died, where this was hit, because they believe that this gives battle feedback to the adversary.
Right.
And so then they can pinpoint their next things. So we'll sort of find out about deaths and injuries in a delayed sort of thing, unless it's so massive that media picks it up.
That's like it's not a cold war, it's a real war.
No, this is a real war. It's just to not give each other feedback as to what's working and what's not working.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. Like it's difficult because it's not difficult. It's like no, wait, it is difficult because there's so many elements. You know, there's people. I mean, fundamentally,
I'll look at the questions as well because
too.
I said, didn't Trump basically set the wheels in motion during the last tenure by tearing up the nuclear prevention deal with Iran? Yes, it did, because American objectives were slightly different to Israeli objectives. American objectives were that Iran must not be in a position that they have made a nuclear weapon.
Right.
Even if there's enrichment of uranium, it cannot be to weapons grade uranium.
Yeah.
And we're going to have like audits to find out if that's the case, which Iran had agreed to.
Right.
That was the GCPOA, which was, P5 plus 6 Germany had negotiated this. Trump ripped it off. Now, why did Trump rip it off?
Yeah.
Trump ripped it off because Trump was influenced by the neocons in the Republican Party, who were influenced by Israel, who believed that the nuclear issue, they said nuclear issue was the main thing because it gets the most popularity globally, because no one wants Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I mean, most Western countries are apprehensive of Iran getting nuclear. So they know that particular position works well for the international community.
Yeah.
So they said that was the main reason, but it wasn't the only thing. I mean, obviously they don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, but they also wanted to get rid of Iran's proxies.
Yeah.
And they also wanted to actually change the regime in Iran.
Is there resources as well?
In Iran? Yeah. Iran has
is that
a lot
why they
of oil.
did it? Is that why they did it?
Yes and no. Okay. So it's they didn't do it in the sense like, I want to take this oil. But what they fear the most is a country that is anti-Israel and also has oil. Because what Israel and US are really good at doing is countries that don't have these kind of natural resources, they can put economic leverage on them. So a country like, for example, Jordan, or a country like Egypt, it's really hard for them to go rogue. Because if they do go rogue, America and Israel have enormous economic leverage over them. That if you go against us, your economy will be devastated, and obviously you will have, security issues for going against Israel. So it's such a potent threat,
right,
that these countries will always fall in line to what America and Israel won't. The exception is countries that have oil. Now, these countries that have oil may have a sustainable way to earn money and keep fighting. Yeah. And that's something that's really deadly for Israel. So the question of whether Israel did it for oil, in some ways, yes, but in some ways, no.
It's more autonomy.
It's more autonomy.
Yeah.
They can go rogue indefinitely, which they have. I mean, you can look at a country like Iran, for instance, that has been under crippling sanctions. However, they've managed to, hold up these proxies. $10 billion from some figures that I read every year went to these proxies for a country that was under crippling economic sanctions themselves.
So it is fair to say that they were funding terrorism.
I mean, yes, they were funding proxies.
Yeah.
The definition of terrorism, can vary for different people.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, in that sense, they were, yeah.
But I mean...
But there was no question about whether they were doing that or not. The question is, what can we do about that? That is a more important question.
Yeah.
Can we do this regime change? What are the limitations? What is achievable? These were the questions that need to be explored further.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like history repeating itself. That's all.
Yes. I suspect the stakes are a bit high. Okay, so this is the one thing that I will want to say, just as this war progresses, and this is going to be a little intense. So
hard.
There's 3 big strategic stages that this war will progress in. The first stage, which we have just entered in, is the air dominance stage. So in this stage, and we've spoken about this before, America will pound and Israel will pound Iran. Jesus. Iran barely has any air defenses to be able to withstand this, but their offensive ability
is high.
May be depleted in some sections after a big thing, but it won't go away. So the idea that these ballistic missiles, this is my view, are going to continue until America is forced and Israel is forced into the big second strategic phase of this war, which will be the ground operations.
You think they'll do that?
I think will they do it or won't they do it? I don't know the answer to this. But what I do know is that assuming that both sides don't do massive concessions for whatever reason, right? They both stay on the same course, then ground troops will be required at some stage. And that will be the second instance where the idea would be to go in, the IRGC and all of these people, they keep attacking. We've tried to destroy their ballistic missile systems. We've tried to destroy their ability to do it, but they're somehow still able to do it. And so we have to go in and go for a cleanup mission. That's how it's going to be advocated for. And that will be the second escalation of this war. The big second strategic move. And I'm not trying to like scare everyone or anything. And we can go into. There's a third level as well, and hopefully we never reach the third level.
Yeah.
But the third level is the nuclear level.
Oh Jesus!
Of this war. Yeah.
Christ.
Hopefully we never reach there. Hopefully we never reach there.
You really think that they would nuke Iran?
In certain conditions, yes. I think it is likely.
Jesus Christ. It's just like...
If they feel,
it's just like
after the ground invasion, that not only are they failing, but there's going to be massive strategic consequences for the U.S., in that stage, they will consider it.
It's just crazy. I don't know.
I hope it never happens, but I'm just saying, like,
faith in humanity, really, isn't it?
All right, so okay, let's go back. Yeah. That's too far ahead.
Yeah.
God, I'm completely wrong, and I am wrong. I want to believe that I am wrong about that. But let's go right to where we are now. The one thing that I wanted to talk about, and time will tell if I'm right or wrong, but the starting point of this war, which was the assassination of Ayatollah Khamenei.
He's dead, right?
He's dead, yeah. I think that was a massive tactical blunder. And
because now
time will tell if I'm right or wrong.
Martyrdom, right?
It's not about martyrdom. Well, there's one aspect. So there's multiple aspects. One aspect is that he wasn't operationally in charge of the battlefield, right? So he wasn't making, it's not like you can assassinate like Hitler, for example. You know, Hitler had this thing of, there was attempts to assassinate Hitler because he was directly controlling the operations of the war. In fact, some people argue that's why they lost the war, because Hitler was so intimately involved in the operations. Right. That was not the case with Khamenei. So you don't get the advantage of like this critical piece that was controlling the entire war out of the picture, right? So you don't get that advantage. You do get the disadvantage of him being a spiritual leader. So on one hand, he actually energizes the fighting force for killing them. But I think this is something that has been explored quite a bit. But I think the tactical mistake is this. I believe that there was two groups within Iran during this negotiating process. One was the hardliners, which were like, Trump has no intention of coming to a compromise. These negotiations are false. The only way for us to go is attack. We have nothing to lose, so we're going to go hard. Then the second group was, he's strong-arming the negotiation process. He's trying to scare us. He's telling us to do this. There is a negotiated settlement is possible, right? And the ones that used to say negotiated settlement is possible got backing because the hardliners knew that if their policy is to be followed, it requires a massive sacrifice for the country, which they're going through right now. You go back decades in your economic progress, so many people get killed. The part that said the negotiated settlement is possible, it was attractive, and plus the people, Iranian people, wanted a negotiated settlement, right? They don't want necessarily to fight.
Yeah.
So there was this struggle during the negotiating process of which side is right, which side is wrong. The starting point of this war becomes the killing of Khamenei. Now that actually almost kills that debate, because it starts off with the assassination of the leader. So the hardliner group that said this is an attack, this negotiated process is farce, has now taken over. Not only has they taken over, so there's debate has gone. So even if there's political leaders in Iran that would still be, and there still are, that are arguing for a possible negotiation, they are not in control anymore because they've lost the debate. The second issue that's happened as a result of Khamenei gone is that this group now does not have some kind of a centralized political figure up there that has the moral authority and the political authority to tell them to stop doing something.
Right.
That part is gone. So they've become more independent.
Right.
The other aspect is, as the Israel and US try to break communication between the Iranian resistance, right? So they will try to break the communication between the leaders and, so it becomes utter chaos. In that sort of, first of all, they've been preparing for this. Iran knows that this could happen, so they've put out certain mechanism. But in that situation, again, the rogue elements of the centralized authority not being there will actually be a disadvantage.
So who?
To the Americans and Israel.
Oh, right, gotcha.
It will be much harder to control this war.
Gotcha, yeah.
Anyways, that's what I think, right?
Yeah,
I think, and time will tell if this was. I feel that if they had started this war in a different way, you could perhaps keep that debate in Iran, whether there is a negotiated settlement as possible. Now, the majority of the people start off with going, there's no other option but to fight in this war now. I don't think that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Even the assassination of someone like the Ayatollah doesn't have to be the starting point, Yeah. It could be used at a time. Again, I'm not trying to I'm not saying that this is a good thing or I want to do this, but I'm just saying
you're doing it as like a war game.
Exactly. So if I'm wargaming this, then the assassination of the Ayatollah, I want to keep that card, but I don't want to start off with that card. Yeah. What I want to do is essentially start with the process of the aerial domination, create chinks in the armor when they start to feel a little demotivated. And at that point, if you get rid of the thing, there is a possibility that it will have more of an impact. Anyways, that opportunity. So I'm just saying in terms of that aspect, I think the first starting point was a bad thing. Now, there's another argument that I've heard, which I want to also talk about, is that Iran miscalculated. They're saying that Iran, by attacking everyone in their region, Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, all the way to Cyprus, was a bad... Cyprus? Because there's some British forces that are situated in Cyprus.
Wow. Jesus Christ.
So attacking them so indiscriminately was a bad idea. And the argument is it was a bad idea because all the sympathies that Iran had would now be taken away.
You reckon?
As in and I'll give you what I think about it. But that's the argument. Okay. That actually Iran sort of went too hard and fucked it up. And and you can also see this from the British Prime Minister's speech where he said that Iran is firing discriminately and it's forcing us. And you can also see all of these Gulf countries all of a sudden get together and forcefully put a statement against Iran saying that we'll enter into this war. So this is a point of view. I don't disagree with the point of view in general, but I think the effectiveness of it is low. Okay, let me explain why.
Yeah.
So first of all, what is Iran trying to achieve? So not only is Iran attacking military bases in all these Gulf countries.
They're kind of acting like they have nothing to lose now.
Yeah, but why are they doing it? Even if you have nothing to lose, why are you wasting your missiles hitting Jumeirah Beach Hotel, right?
Desperation?
It's not. This is my argument. I'll try to say that I'm not saying it's good or bad. From a neutral point of view, I'm telling you what their strategy is in doing all of this. So their idea is, again, nothing to lose, but one of the things that they know is that they can cripple the Middle Eastern economy. So if they'll create uncertainty in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah. They'll use Yemen Houthis to block the other route for the Arab oil, which means that these countries might not be able to export their oil. So that affects their economic earnings, right? Secondly, by attacking, hotels and all of this stuff, not only just tourism, this is going to cause a bloodbath in investment in the UAE and all of these countries. There'll be a flight capital, which, by the way, they're screwed because even if this war pauses, no investor is going to look at these Middle Eastern countries as a stable investment for the future. So they're fucking up their economic model. And the reason why they're doing this is because what they're trying to tell the Middle Eastern countries and America by doing this is, one, if we have nothing to lose, we'll fuck over everyone. Second, if these Middle Eastern countries don't put pressure on Trump and Israel to back off, then their economies will be devastated.
Shit.
Right? And you can even see hints of this. So when one of the hotels in Dubai was attacked, official IRGC communication put out a tweet or something that said, and I read it, which said, we're helping the tourists of UAE to find cheaper hotels in Dubai.
What official what? IRCG?
Yeah,
what's that?
IRGC.
What is that?
It was a joke by them. The joke was that we're just helping the tourists to find a better deal.
Iran said this.
Iran said this. Now, why did they say this? Obviously, it's a joke on the surface level, but you need to understand that means that they're perfectly aware of the fact that if they attack these sort of places, the economic sector is going to take a heavy hit.
Gotcha.
And again, this is a pressure tactic to force Americans and say, like, this is getting too much, please stop, back off. And the last aspect of, okay, the disadvantage. Now, all of them are against them. The cost of it. The cost isn't that high because what are they going to do? Now, America and Israel, which are way stronger as militaries, compared to UAE and Saudi Arabia, I can tell you, they might have a lot of weapons and there's a whole different thing, but their ability to use these weapons and their military is very substandard. Very substandard. No, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, all of these.
They're just piss weak comparatively.
They have equipment because they've bought it, but they don't really know how to use it. I'm sorry, but they're not.
Sure.
So there's no actually...
I didn't even know they had armies, dude.
They do. But it's just like...
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a whole different thing. But so there's no threat for Iran that like, oh, if they get in, now we're screwed. It's like, we're already getting screwed over by America and Israel. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
You can do nothing. And that's what they're trying to also tell them.
It's kind of smart.
In a sinister way, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, tactically.
Absolutely.
Just
yeah.
tactically.
Absolutely. It creates an immense amount of pressure on the global economy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because if they... Yeah, I mean, it is smart because, you can just interrupt... You can interrupt their...
And that it's for the same purpose that you were saying, is like, if we're going down, then we're going to take everyone down.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. It's just insane. Are there any more questions?
They're saying U.S. got... The funny
Holy
thing
shit.
I've heard... Do you have any other things in mind about it?
Look... Have I covered what I think? I guess. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, it's just like, it's just shocking. It's just shocking. It's like, are you kidding me? It feels surreal. It's like,
it is surreal.
Some Americans have died.
Yeah.
I don't know how. There's no one on the
3
ground.
to 4. Apparently, they were hit at their base in Kuwait, and this is going to happen more and more so. Unfortunately.
Trump said it in his speech. He was just like, "And there will be more deaths. I'm sorry. That's what it has to happen." And it's like,
Trump is right about that. I don't think Iran is going to back down, and I don't think the U.S. and Israel are going to back down. They're both going to go hard at each other, and this is going to last a while.
You know what's interesting? I'm not surprised. This is probably a really dumb thing to say. But I'm not surprised that China came out and condemned it. Basically, everyone condemned it. I understand why, for optics, Putin condemned it. Mm-hmm. But I thought Putin would just stay quiet.
No, why would Putin stay quiet? Iran is their ally.
I didn't know that they were allies.
Yeah, they're allies.
Really?
Yeah, in fact, a lot of the drones supplied in the Ukraine were actually from Iran.
But that's... Oh, really? Mm-hmm. But that's purely tactical, not ideological. Like, Russia isn't a theocracy.
No. It's not like religious agreement. It's just like political agreement between the two.
Right.
Like, we both hate the US.
It's all just Game of Thrones shit again. It's different houses. That's all. It's just, because I always think of countries as being relatively sovereign. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, Russia's Russia and China, but like, there's interconnected relationships with all of these with every country on earth, right?
Yeah, of course. There's a great game going on. You know,
it's just so tiring. But
I
mean, it's crazy. I don't know. I'm still just like, it's just a little bit like, I was like, I thought life would get better as you get older.
No, dude. One of the biggest and largest wars of our time has just begun.
Shit.
Unfortunately.
There's been some good memes about it. There was one thing that was like Gen Z finally buying a house, and he's like, and he's bought his house, and he opens the window, and a fucking nuclear bomb just, and he's just like smiling, like, and there's some like crazy. There was one that was like me drinking through a soggy straw.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was
while the world leaders, like, I mean,
can we get rid of the soggy straws? I'm trying to save the planet here.
It's crazy, man. Like, I mean, look, if you look at all rhetoric aside, and everyone has opinions on, no one likes.
Hey, someone asked a question.
Yeah.
Also wonder if the aircraft carrier got hit. U.S. said no, but Iran said yes. That was an interesting one. So the Iran IRGC again claimed to have hit the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier.
Okay.
Which the U.S. Promptly said that that's not the case. So that's an interesting one. It's because, the pride and joy of the U.S. militaries are these aircraft carriers.
Okay.
And they are heavily defended.
Are they the boats, the ships?
Yeah, they're ships.
Yeah,
so these are these massive sort of
the
ships.
Top Gun shit.
The Top Gun, where like the aircrafts are flying off of. It's essentially having a little military base in the ocean, when you don't have one around. So Iran claimed to have attacked it. Now, the idea that Iran successfully attacks an aircraft carrier, whether it be the Gerald Ford or the Abraham Lincoln, is a big ask. Now, I am no military expert, but I do know that these are both pride and joy of the U.S. Navy,
right? And
there is an entire army just protecting them. So I would be highly surprised if that happened. The way that it can potentially happen is that Iran has, again, quite a few of these like little submarines that are, they're not like sophisticated, but there's plenty. And, if you can sort of stealth and go in, and they've apparently bought some missiles from, or like given some missiles from Russia and China that are anti-ship missiles. So I think that would be a big ask for them to do. Now, they can hit it, but to successfully make it like,
Jesus,
is going to be a tough one.
I kind of want to look at it through a Chomsky lens, which is, grim as, but like, it's that whole theory of like, you smash something up and it builds in a way. Like you smash things and you smash a country and then it sort of, it breaks it up, but it doesn't dissolve the problem. It sort of amplifies it in different ways, like maybe guerrilla warfare. Things don't just end. I mean, if you look at history, right? Iraq, Afghanistan, Vietnam, all failures in terms of America's attempts, strategic attempt.
Yeah, I really don't understand who is the person that is telling Trump that an air campaign itself can achieve the objectives they're looking for. Either that is something that they know is a lie, but they're telling us, or they're completely misguided, because I don't understand. There's not a single precedent where air campaigns alone has been able to change a regime, let alone a regime like Iran,
Yeah.
It's...
Has Iran historically been considered this, like, real haven for supporting proxies of terror in terms of, like, more so than any country in the Middle East? Like, I'll be honest with you, until a year ago, Iran seemed like I didn't know anything about Iran.
Well, it's not terrorism in the sense that Al-Qaeda is terrorism. So Al-Qaeda had this like global jihadist point of view that like we want to, and so they're doing stuff like 9/11 and things. Iran uses terrorism not for like some jihadist global mission, but for their own foreign policy tools. And their terrorism is restricted to having proxies that would attack Israel because they feel threatened by Israel. Whereas bin Laden knocking down the Twin Towers was just like this out of picture. It's like a whole different level of crazy to do that.
But I guess what I'm asking is like, was knowing, I mean, keeping in mind everything I've said, which I do believe, is there any justification to the idea that like Iran is like an existential threat to the region?
Theoretically, yes, but in practicality, it wasn't.
Right.
I mean, they had pretty much agreed that they won't create nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
That much we know. They weren't willing to give up their ballistic missiles, which is a threat to its neighbors. I mean, clearly, with what you're seeing now, you know that it has a capability to screw up. But of course they want to keep their
missiles. I mean, knowing...
but like, you know, every country is looking to defend themselves in these kinds of ways. So I don't know if that was an existential threat for the world, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to figure out if there's even a way for people to spin this as being like a necessity.
I mean, they are. I think one of the funniest one that I've heard is, which is actually becoming more and more common, is like, have you considered that like we get too focused on history and maybe George Bush was kind of shit and Trump isn't kind of shit? And so this time it's going to be different because we have a boss doing it? That's a point of view.
Jesus.
I mean, they will be devastated when they eventually see the results. That it's not that Trump is some tactical military genius.
Don't you think that... Don't you think America was mentally preparing for this, though, even changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War?
Yeah.
Because if you have a Department of War and you're not at war, then what's the point of the Department of War? You know, like even these like sort of subliminal sort of cultural altercations to their institutions. It's like, you know, that Pete Hegseth guy is coming in his pants, you know, like it's just Steve Bannon is probably also coming in his pants.
But it's like, it's going to like, it's not going to be good for one.
I
now from a geopolitical perspective, when they say, you know, the Armada has moved to the Arabian Sea, there's these, well, where are they coming from? Do you know where they came from?
Like Israel, somewhere
from the south, from the East China and South China Sea. Oh, so these were the ones that were supposed to be a deterrent against China that now have been moved to the Arabian Sea. Do you think China is happy about that or less happy? I mean, on one hand, they would not want Iran to go through this cataclysmic process, but they like the fact that, like, you know, America is getting divided somewhere else. Secondly, while America and Israel are showing the world how bad and amazing their military is, China still keeps its cards closed and is learning now. So if tomorrow there is a fight with America, they know how America fights. Now, how does China fight? We don't know. So on that aspect, again, you've got China and Russia both that would learn about potential war with the U.S. Thirdly, now again, the oil supply is an issue for Russia and China, but do you think America getting bogged down in a Middle Eastern war where the entire region is on fire, do you think it will have a more focus on Ukraine or less of a focus on Ukraine?
Yeah, way less. Yeah.
So Pete Hegseth might be coming in his pants, but he is an idiot.
Losing kind of soft power for gaining.
Losing hard power.
Losing hard power. Yeah, true.
More difficult.
Yes.
So this is a sad situation. I think the thing is, like,
I know I keep repeating myself, but it really is shocking to me.
It is shocking. And, you know, I always thought that surely sensible minds will prevail. Surely if someone like me can understand what is potentially in store, these guys have way more information. They're way smarter than me. They have way better advisors. But, you know, at the end of the day, maybe hubris takes control over everything.
Hubris and Israel's...
Well, that too. But, you know but I don't want to absolve... I don't want to absolve Trump or Americans off it.
No, that's true.
Yes, of course. Like Saudi Arabia, every country has these motives of what they want the global superpower to do. It's the responsibility of the superpower itself to be like, okay, no.
Do you think Israel would have done this if they acted alone without without America's intervention at all?
I think that's what Israel told America, that if you weren't going to get involved, we're going to do it ourselves.
Right.
And have you heard of the rumors? Again, I don't know if any of this is true. I have no evidence to suggest
Jim
this.
Carrey was fake.
But apparently Netanyahu, this is pop news, okay? So keep that in mind. So this is pop news. The pop news is that apparently Netanyahu told Trump that if you don't get involved in this war, we're going to nuke Iran.
Fuck.
I don't know.
Dude,
I really don't know.
If that can't be true. I mean, Jesus Christ.
But the one thing that I also want to say about this is that throughout this war, you will see moments where the U.S. and Israeli military are going to claim we've done this, we've won, or we're beating them and, they're losing. And if you read Al Jazeera, if you happen to do it or something, you will see Iranians saying like, we're killing it and America's are. Yeah. But just know that what they're saying doesn't necessarily is exactly true.
Yeah, propaganda machine's going to go hard on all ends.
And yep. And so this will be a long-lasting thing.
When you say long, what? What do you suspect?
I mean, look, there is a small possibility that this wraps up in about a month or 2 months. A small possibility. I think it's very unlikely, but there is a possibility. But I think this is going to go on for years, bro. That's what I'm thinking.
They all have.
Yeah.
They all have. How long was Iraq?
2003 to 2007.
4 years.
Well, 2011, maybe something like that.
Okay, let's use that as a template.
Yeah.
What is the situation in Iraq now?
I mean, it's a fractured country. It's exactly what the Netanyahu's kind of aims were in some sense. It's a fractured country divided in different groups that is unable to unify. But the drawback of that is that one of those fractures is actually a Shiite militia, which is going to attack America in this war now.
Right.
Yeah, so not everything is, and obviously, Iraq is a mess as a consequence of that. Yeah. It's slowly started to recover. I don't want to create a doom and gloom picture. Over the last couple of years, you've seen slowly edges of some sort of social cohesion, some sort of more peace. But the consequence of the Iraq war was devastating. They're just recovering now. It started in 2003, it's 2026. And so that led to initially a vacuum, then a civil war, then rise of ISIS, then rise of global caliphate, then destruction of global caliphate and anarchy. And now you're seeing some semblance of maybe there's a society that can, and again, this will be disrupted by the Iran war anyway. So,
and with Iraq, obviously the lie was weapons of mass destruction, right?
What's that?
With Iraq, the lie was weapons of mass destruction. They got, but what the real reason? What was it? Was it resources? Or were they saying because what's his old mate Saddam Hussein? Is that Iraq?
So it was the same thing as Iran. So Saddam Hussein had unified Iraq. Saddam Hussein was anti-Israel, and crucially, Saddam Hussein governed a country that was oil rich. Too much of a threat for Israel. So it had to be taken out. It didn't have anything to do with 9/11 or didn't even have weapons of mass destruction. But again, from Israel's point of view, they posed an imminent threat. Because Israel just wants all of its neighbors to be constantly fractured, infighting, or just devastated, so that no one has the capability to pose a threat to them.
Jeez Louise.
And they also get to become the regional hegemon, if so is the case.
Do you think it's
do you think Iran could strike Pine Gap? I mean, theoretically, no, actually they can't. They don't most likely not, because their weapons don't have that kind of range. Also, there's no incentive to fire at Pine Gap anyways. So I highly doubt that.
That would be, Greater Israel Project. I mean, do you think if Israel was post-war was never settled, would that have created? It would have created a more stable Middle East, but would it have created a safer Middle East?
Sorry, what was the question? What
post-war?
What war? Which war?
World War II.
World War II. Yeah. Okay.
You know, Israel. Obviously, there's like historical and sort of like theological connection to that land, but if it wasn't actually established legally as a country, a modern country, that region would have been obviously, I assume, more stable. But would it have been less of a... It's almost a philosophical question, because if it's Game of Thrones, I'm just saying, like, would it have been safer for the world if that had happened? What would happen? Like, let's say it was just autonomous. What would the world look like? No,
it's really hard to tell. There's just way too many variables. But I would suspect, I think I agree with your thesis that it would have been more stable. Now, does that mean it would have been a paradise? I highly doubt it. I think there would have still been infighting, you know. But on average, I mean, it's an irrelevant hypothetical question, but perhaps. But the fact is, Israel exists, and it's a reality. So, stop living in a world where it didn't exist.
No, I know.
Thing,
It's just because then there's a sort of like philosophical question too, right? It's like, you know how they're saying they want safety or they want hegemony in the region.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if the world was like split in two and there was Russia and America, it's still a threat. So it's kind of like,
what is Iran a threat?
No, I'm saying, does geography play a massive role?
Yeah, of course.
But the Cold War, there was no Russia and America. I mean, they're not geographically far apart.
Wait, what's your question?
I'm just saying, like,
that Russia and America were constantly at war with each other, but didn't like have hot hostilities. Is that your question?
I'm saying, like, how much, like, it's like a philosophical question. Is war just inevitable? Because
no, in that case, it's less. It's much less.
That's what
inevitable.
I mean. So
there's the theory of mutually assured destruction between Russia and U.S., which doesn't apply to Iran, which is why I think the last stage and the stage is the end stage. Which I wouldn't say if, let's say, this war had started between U.S. and Russia, because even though both of them have nuclear weapons, and it's pretty obvious, like if two countries with nuclear weapons are fighting, the threat is imminent. But I actually think there's less of a threat because both parties know that there's mutually assured destruction. The threat of nuclear weapons being used is extremely high when you've got one side that has it and one side that doesn't. And if that one side that doesn't somehow through guerrilla war or whatever is able to get a strategic advantage, then the side that does have the nuclear weapon becomes heavily incentivized to use it with no repercussions.
But I guess I'm saying,
because no one else will use nuclear weapons against them if they use it.
But I guess I'm saying is, like, don't you think war, human beings, is inevitable? The only thing that happens is there's periods of peace and there's periods of war. But it's like periods of peace are momentary, and then war is also probably like the Earth has been at war more than it has not been at war. If you think about battles, if you think about,
I mean, that's technically untrue because most of our history has been hunter-gatherer, and hunter-gatherer there were some hostilities, but it wasn't a particularly warring thing. There were some tribe hostilities, but largely, we don't have a lot of evidence of mass violence.
So does that mean that an advance in technology?
So what changed?
Technology.
Yes.
Politics.
But what you had was the agricultural revolution. What did agricultural revolution create?
Wealth?
Surplus.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you could be really rich. And when you could be really rich, then you start having incentive to get even richer. So there's the exploitation aspect that comes in. There's a whole theory that the Bronze Age, collapsed because there was this, so you started having like this trade, and these different sort of empires got really rich as a result of this trade. And then there was this evolution in religious thinking that you can actually take your wealth to the next world. So people start getting buried with snow, with gold and stuff. But one of the things that happens as a consequence of this is that if you think that this not only getting rich will help you now, but in the hereafter, is then your society starts to crumble because it causes massive inequality, and then that causes wars. So humans, yes.
So surplus and greed.
Yeah, I think that has a huge part to play with. Now, I wonder if America has been plagued with such issues or not. I don't think so.
You don't are you kidding?
What? America greedy? I ain't far off from that.
I don't think America cares about money.
No. What are you trying to say? It's not that in America you have a small group of people that are really old and have all the money and have come to a point where they don't care about the ones. That's not.
That'd be crazy.
That's not our way of life. That's some muzzy shit there, mate.
What do you mean?
We don't do that.
Of course we, yeah.
No, we don't do that.
I mean, I don't think it's muzzy shit. I don't think you can say what you want about Islam, but I wouldn't say that like greed in wealth is one of their downfalls. You know, I wouldn't say that. You know.
No, I would say that there is. It's like, you know, why did the golden age of Islam die? For exactly this reason.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, actually, what am I talking about? They had an empire that expanded like shit too,
and fell through exactly the same thing.
Yeah, true.
Like, I'll give you an example. Just in India, the Muslim Mughal Empire was creating the Taj Mahal. The wealth was unbelievable. There was like Britishers would come to India and would say that the rocks on the king's fingers were more valuable than the entire country at that time. There was talks of like how rich they were. At this time, India was about 20% of the global GDP. I think China was 25% of the global GDP, and they would and England was like 2%, 3%.
Shit.
You know, but at the same time, when there was so much wealth, while there was University of Oxford and Cambridge being set up in England, the Indian guys were making Taj Mahal for their wife, their dead wife that bore 8 kids, and he feels bad. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to dedicate a huge chunk of the budget and for the next 5 years to building this like good looking building. This is exactly the sort of shit that happens when you get to affluence. So, you know, it's cyclical.
We're getting to the root of the issues here, though, because it's like, I mean, obviously, we're extrapolating a bit here and zooming out, but like if you're looking at existential threats, you have to look at, that's a philosophical question.
It's only a matter of time then, but when exuberance get to that level.
But that's what I'm saying. Supply, like affluence, greed creates inequality.
Wait. Can I look at someone's like, okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm so glad because someone said, do some unbiased research. Okay.
Sure.
Point well taken. Maybe I am doing some bias.
We're all biased,
but you need to, but you need to tell me exactly what you don't agree with and what part I am biased with. Those are just statements. I can't like really argue with that. It's like, okay, fine. Thank you for this good tip. But like, you have to give me something that I'm wrong about so that we can even explore this idea. Fun fact about the paramilitary police in England over Ireland to Israel, black and tans, hectic mindset shipping. I don't know what that means. Mm-hmm. Ever heard of the term hurt people hurt people? Yes.
Ever heard of the term hurt people? No.
I'll be waiting because like I don't want you to think like I'm only giving certain information, and I want to explore also. Tell me exactly what it is that I'm talking about that's wrong. And if you say it like without like, you know, swearing and shit, I'll be more than happy to talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, when you provoke your neighbors to attack, you need a missile defense system. This is a really important point. I don't know what you're referring to. Maybe you're talking to someone else, but...
he said, I wasn't talking to you, Ali. I was talking to the chat.
Oh, okay. I apologize. But this is an interesting point because someone said that when you provoke your neighbors to attack, you need a missile defense system. This is another important point. The idea of missile defense systems, iron domes, because obviously Israel is just practice this, but now there's talks about the US, Canada getting the missile defense systems, these iron domes. There's talks that Australia should get one as well. Now, this war should make...
We got cane toads. We don't need it.
But this war should make one thing clear. Is like, this is no silver bullet. Israel has the most sophisticated air defense system, right? The most sophisticated in the world. It's a tiny country. Like if you compare it to like Australia or the US, these are huge. So you can imagine how much of a network you would need in these countries. Israel is a tiny country, and still so many of those missiles are going through. So if there's this perception that, you know, we can live in this dome where we're protected and we can still hit other people, I want you to know that that is far from reality. There will always be instances where missiles will come and attack you. So you need to, I'm not saying you don't spend on defense systems. Yes, you do. But you need to know that that alone is no security. You need to have offensive capabilities. And most importantly, you need to not wage wars out of nowhere. And, you know, come up with, like, I think that is a better defense system. I'm not against the air defenses. Yeah. Obviously, we need them. But this is no insurance policy in the long run.
It's just crazy. I don't know what I just don't know. It's like very depressing because the thing that's frustrating is you look at, and you know, there are punch-ons in the street. There's acts of aggression. There's crime. There's all sorts of heinous acts perpetuated by like civilians in like all society, no matter how affluent or how educated, right? Although I would say generally more educated, less of that. But it's frustrating to, you know, behave like a reasonably kind of conscientious member of society day to day and pay your bills and do this and don't be, you know, you don't try be aggressive and attack people and antagonize people. But then on a geopolitical scale, that seems to like so often just go, it's the opposite. It's just like, what the, it's just like, it's like the children as a metaphor are behaving themselves, but the quote unquote adults are fighting. And it's like, it's also annoying, again, to bring it back to, if there was, and we're very lucky in Australia. I'm extremely, generally, globally, we're all very extremely privileged and lucky, really, like us. But knowing about, it's just like another international war where the poorest die for their country.
Very interesting. I forgot to mention this. This is a very, very interesting aspect of this war, which I want to challenge that. The poorest die.
Is that right?
Yes. Because there's a whole new mode of war that's happening. Who was the first casualty of the Iran war?
Civilians?
Ayatollah Khamenei.
Oh, he was the first.
Look, traditionally, in war of attrition, what you would do is you would attack the foot soldiers.
Yeah.
The foot soldiers fight. The people behind control the fight, right?
True.
Traditionally, that's what's been happening. That's what's been happening in terms of the U.S., where Trump isn't in threat, but, you know, his foot soldiers that are in the military bases are in threat. That's the OG mode of war. Now, what does that do? It has the advantage that the leadership that's making all the decisions remains intact. So there's no chain of command disruptions, right? The war can still continue. Foot soldiers die, more can replace them. That's an advantage. But what is the one criticism that every war that the U.S. gets at the end of it? The most common one that everyone agrees with is that these leaders sit in cushy rooms, make decisions, and they get people, ordinary people from Nebraska, from Tennessee, to go and fight their dirty wars, right? That affects the morale of the army. We're like,
what are we
these
doing?
People don't care about us. For them, it's a game. The opposite is going to happen in Iran. The officers will die more than the foot soldiers.
Really?
Because, again, this new war of decapitation and, you know, missile strikes.
Yes.
So you will have the leadership die. By the way, the new leadership that Iran has that is coming in will also die at some point. I know that. They'll be decapitated, and then another one will come. But what will be the effect on the foot soldiers? that my leaders are dying for me.
Shit.
He will dedicate himself into this war as the war progresses. What will be the opposite thing happening in the US? Well, they will say the people are dying and Trump doesn't give a fuck about it.
Right.
Two different things that are going to have an impact on this war in the long run.
So bad for both, if you think about it.
Bad for both. Bad for Iran 100% in the sense that their leadership and chain of command is constantly being disrupted. You know, there's going to be communication breakdowns. These are big battlefield issues, no doubt. But they've already prepared for this because they've seen the Hezbollah decapitation thing. They know that this will happen. They have their fallbacks. They have a new governor system that's decentralized, that if there's communication barriers, there's breakage, that independently they can run on their own, right? So it's a big problem in the sense. I'm not trying to downplay. There's a reason why you would go for decapitation.
Yeah.
But it's having, and there's also a reason why traditionally in wars you didn't do that. It's not that you never had the ability to attack the leader, but once you attack the leader, who are you going to talk to? You know?
Yes.
Unless you're going for an extermination process where you kill everyone, who are you going to talk to if you keep assassinating leaders? So it's been considered a bad strategy.
Yeah, Jesus.
But this is the one, and I think this will again have long-term consequences for morale of both countries.
Definitely. What about the issue of him not notifying Congress? Isn't that the process usually? You put it to a vote?
For wars?
Trump, yeah.
Yeah, traditionally, but I think in the post 9/11 era, there have been some changes where the executive branch actually, in terms of foreign policy, even starting wars, has colossal powers.
Right.
Colossal
I didn't know that. I thought there was safe checks for that kind of thing.
There used to be back in the day. There's less now.
Right.
Most of American safe checks for the executive branch apply to domestic policy, not foreign policy. The president, essentially, the king of the world, can execute whoever they want legally, as long as it's not within the U.S.
Oh, that's crazy. It is crazy. I mean, even the media fallout from this, it's like overwhelming. I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to just listen to a million people. Like, I'm curious. I don't know. Chomsky's not dead, right?
Not yet, but he's pretty close to it, I've heard.
Do you think he's even going to comment on this?
I don't know. I think he's still like...
The Epstein thing?
I think he's like, hey, fuck him. I think at this point he's like, the Epstein fury is required. No, I'm kidding, obviously. Can you imagine, like, yeah, you know, a man's got to do what it's got to do to protect the legacy.
What do you mean, of the country or himself?
I'm kidding.
I know, but that's a funny
But he was
thought.
in the Epstein files, you know.
I know, but
so
like...
he's on board.
Can you imagine if he's just like... He comes out, he's like, although I historically have been extremely, profoundly anti-war, there are reasons for this attack. Everyone's like, what? It's just like, well, I mean... Let's just look at Iran. Let's look at their history. And like, he's just full like headset talking points. Like, and then his wife's like, I'm sorry, he has dementia. He has dementia. And he's just like,
and a boner from what it seems like. Impressive, Chomsky. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining us for this episode.
Hopefully there'll be another episode. We're all still living.
Hopefully there'll be we'll be fine in Australia. We're pretty far away from the action zone.
Yeah, but we need our, tacos. We need our bloody quesadillas. The supply chain.
And oil.
Supply chain.
And oil. We get about 20%, 10 to 20% of our oil from UAE.
Holy shit. So this is going to be like Russia again, where everything just went up.
No, but we're in a much safer position. Asia's fucked. Actually, China, India.
They're all fucked?
Yeah, because they depend mostly on...
Do we have any oil? Native oil?
We have some, but it's getting lower and lower. There was a time when we were self-sustainable. We're not anymore. Most of our oil comes from, if I know the figures, about $2 billion, which is the largest share from Malaysia.
They have oil?
Then we have about $800 million, which is the second largest from the U.S. And I think we get about $200 million worth of oil from the UAE.
Yeah, wow. Jesus.
So there's other countries, but obviously when oil shock hits, it takes up the value for oil for everyone. So we'll be getting expensive oil. Here's an interesting one. I don't know if you guys know this, but do you know what the Australian oil reserve is? If tomorrow, let's say we got no oil.
Yeah.
Massive issues. We are getting zero oil. How long can we survive before we run out of it?
Can I guess? Oh, it's going to be so off. How much did you say we had? Doesn't matter.
That's not our storage. That's how much we get year on year. For like running.
Okay.
How much we have stored, I'm not telling you.
Okay. That's not, you're going to give me don't tell me.
Tell me what time period could we survive before we run out?
I'm guessing officially.
At home, answer this question without looking at ChatGPT.
All right. I don't use that shit. All right. Officially, do you want my official answer?
Yeah.
Even though I've already forgotten what you said, how much we have, being realistic, thinking about like, I'm sure we have that resource. Mm-hmm. We're a pretty small population. It's hard to even quantify how much we'd have because how much do we use? But anyway, I'm going to say we would last a year.
That's a good guess. It's wrong, but it's a good guess. It's a good guess. Someone said 2 weeks, 8 months, 3 days, 90 days. The answer is 7 years.
Oh man, I was actually gonna say 3 years, but then I was like, I was gonna say 3 years, but then I was like, nah, it's probably something crazy.
How long do you think the U.S. can last?
$1 billion, forever, indefinitely.
10 to 12 years.
Oh shit, that's not that long.
How long do you think India can? Sorry, not India. How long do you think China can last?
A week? No, probably 4 years.
3.5 years.
Yes.
I mean, their reserves are low, but they have some local production, so it'll end up being 3.5 years.
3.5.
Now tell me, how long do you think India will last?
2.5.
48 days. Now you're laughing. I want you to know there's very few countries on earth that can survive for 7 years or 10 years or 5 years. Most of them are going to be in days.
What do you mean?
Most of the country, if they stop getting oil, will last days.
Why?
Because they don't have the reserves.
Oh, you're saying other countries?
Yeah, other countries.
So they're the big ones that are okay, but India, 48 days.
Yeah.
What about Pakistan?
Probably even less. I would imagine 25, 30 days.
How is there no oil in those hills?
There's some oil, but it's in offshore. In the ocean.
Oh my God, that's a crazy thought. We're actually doing pretty good.
Yeah. So you should be happy about it. These are some good decisions. And I think this all came after the Yom Kippur War in 1974 when there was an oil shock and there were queues. That's when America and the West was like, okay, we need to be prepared for such a scenario.
That was with Nixon, yeah? In the 70s? Yeah.
So hence we started keeping a supply and we rotate them. So, so they don't. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining for this episode. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah.
I am thinking of a new plan, miss.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of doing through this war. I want to do wartime report.
We have to.
Not on the pod though. Because I don't want to get because I want to be able to say things, whatever I want to say. I don't want the friendly
Shawarma FM?
So not even shawarma.
But like up late or where?
I'm thinking back to Holsworthy Live. Because I don't want to get other people into trouble.
Do it.
So just war report.
I'll watch it.
All right.
I will watch that, dude.
All right. Anyways, thank you for joining us. We will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.